Cloud database platforms like Azure SQL Database and AWS RDS are key technologies in today's IT world. If you're applying for roles in cloud engineering, data platforms, or DevOps, understanding these services is essential. Here is a list of the most commonly asked questions with clear and concise answers. 1. What is Azure SQL Database? Azure SQL Database is a cloud-based database service from Microsoft that lets you store and manage relational data. It's based on SQL Server and fully managed by Microsoft. You don't need to install hardware, patch servers, or take backups. It's all done for you automatically in the background. 2. What is Amazon RDS, Relational Database Service? Amazon RDS is a managed service by AWS that supports several databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, SQL Server, and MariaDB. It simplifies setup, operation, and scaling. You can easily create a database in minutes, and AWS handles backups, patching, and failover for high availability. 3. What are the main differences between Azure SQL and AWS RDS? Azure SQL supports only Microsoft SQL Server, while AWS RDS supports multiple database engines. Azure SQL comes in a single database or managed instance model. AWS RDS is more flexible in engine choice but requires more setup for high availability and backups. Both services are fully managed and scalable. 4. What is a DTU in Azure SQL? DTU stands for Database Transaction Unit. It's a measure of how much CPU, memory, and storage your database uses. Microsoft combines these resources into a single unit to make it easier to choose performance levels without worrying about technical details like RAM or cores. 5. What is a WE model in Azure SQL? The WE model lets you choose the exact number of virtual cores, memory size, and storage for your database. It gives you more control and is better for users who know how much power they need. It also helps with cost estimation and performance tuning. 6. How does AWS RDS provide high availability? AWS RDS offers multi-asset deployments, where it creates a backup database in another availability zone. If something goes wrong with your main database, AWS automatically switches to the backup with little or no downtime. This helps your application stay online during problems or maintenance. 7. What is Azure SQL Managed Instance? Azure SQL Managed Instance is like a full SQL server running in the cloud, with features that are missing in Azure SQL Database like SQL Agent, cross-database queries, and linked servers. It's a great option when moving from on-premises SQL to the cloud with minimal changes. 8. Difference between Azure SQL Database and Managed Instance? Azure SQL Database is best for lightweight, modern applications that only need a single database. Managed Instance is for larger applications that need full SQL Server features like jobs and triggers. Managed Instance is closer to what you would run on your local servers. 9. What is Amazon Aurora? Amazon Aurora is a cloud-optimized relational database compatible with MySQL and PostgreSQL. It's built by AWS to offer better speed, reliability, and scalability. Aurora can automatically grow storage and recover from crashes quickly, making it a smart choice for modern applications that need high performance. 10. What kind of backups does Azure SQL support? Azure SQL takes automatic backups every few minutes. You can restore your database to any point in time within a 35-day window. It also supports long-term retention for regulatory needs and allows storing backups in different regions for disaster recovery. 11. What backup options are available in AWS RDS? AWS RDS provides automated backups and manual snapshots. Automated backups are enabled by default and let you restore your database to any point in time within a retention period, 1 to 35 days. Snapshots are user-created and can be saved forever or copied to other regions. 12. What is an elastic pool in Azure SQL? An elastic pool lets multiple databases share the same resources like CPU and memory. This is useful if you have many small databases with unpredictable usage patterns. It saves money because instead of giving each database its own resources, they share a common pool. 13. What are read replicas in AWS RDS? Read replicas are read-only copies of your main database. They help you handle extra traffic by allowing users to read data from these replicas instead of overloading the main database. They are great for scaling out applications with many read requests. 14. Can you pause an Azure SQL database? Yes, with Azure SQL Serverless, you can automatically pause the database when it's not in use. It saves money because you're not paying for CPU while it's idle. When someone connects again, it resumes automatically. This is good for development or test environments. 15. What security features are in Azure SQL? Azure SQL includes several security features like transparent data encryption, TDE, firewall rules, advanced threat protection, auditing, and virtual network integration. These features protect your data from unauthorized access, both at rest and in transit. 16. How does AWS RDS secure your data? AWS RDS provides encryption at rest using AWS Key Management Service, KMS, and encryption in transit using SSL TLS. You can also control access using IAM roles, security groups, and parameter groups to lock down who can see or modify your data. 17. What is the SLA of Azure SQL Database? Azure SQL provides a 99.99% uptime SLA for single databases and elastic pools. In the business critical tier with zone redundancy, the SLA increases to 99.995%. This means very little downtime in a year, which is important for critical business apps. 18. How do you monitor performance in Azure SQL? You can monitor Azure SQL using tools like Query Performance Insight, Azure Monitor, and Log Analytics. These tools show you which queries are slow, how much CPU is being used, and if your database is experiencing high latency or errors. 19. How do you control access to AWS RDS? AWS RDS access can be controlled using VPC security groups, like a firewall, IAM authentication, parameter groups, and SSL encryption. You can restrict who can connect, what they can do, and how they do it, all from the AWS Management Console. 20. What tools are used to migrate SQL databases to Azure or AWS? To move SQL databases to Azure, you can use Data Migration Assistant, DMA, and Azure Database Migration Service. For AWS, you can use AWS Database Migration Service, DMS. These tools help transfer schema, data, and users with minimal downtime.